Well, hello.
Hola. Hey.
From remote locations.
Yes, we are.
Hallelujah. God bless it.
Hallelujah and God bless the ministry, but this is what we're doing. But how y'all doing? Oh my goodness. It is so
It's
good.
so good to see everyone.
Yes. What's going on? What's popping? What's crack-a-lacking? What's going on? Yeah.
So, for those of you that don't know and can't tell by the screen, I am Dominion.
And I am Epic.
I was like, gay? What?
I was like, that too, but Epic. There we go. That's what that's.
No, we're going. I think we're going to do the zoom in. That's a little better.
That's fine. Yeah.
Go back from the camera a little bit so we get your whole face in. Back from the camera, honey. Back, and then tilt the camera up. Just a little bit.
All up into this grill, honey. Let's get it. This mug, honey. It's
there
well
you
lit
go.
right now.
And then center your face in the frame.
It's well lit right now. Right now, it's well lit. Right now. There we go.
Bam. There we go. Hallelujah.
Yeah. Hey.
So, how have you been? How's your week?
Honestly, I've been having a shitty week. Shitty end of the week and a shitty weekend and a shitty beginning of the week. I don't know what the fuck tomorrow is going to bring, but that's just kind of where I'm at right now. And but in this moment right here, right now, I'm okay.
Good.
Yeah.
My Coyote wants to know how graduation went.
Okay. So first off, Coyote, I'm not sure if you are there already, but I am sending some hugs to you. I'd had a conversation with Crypto. With Spectre, and I'm sending hugs to you. So that's the first thing. Second thing, the graduation was
graduation-y.
Yeah, graduation-y, and it did what it was supposed to have done. It gave what it was supposed to have gave. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, both me and my coworker were like,
okay, bye.
Like I was looking for the end, but like the close, I was like, leave, end. I wanted, and so I was happy about that, and it went well. And again, I was just telling.
Wait a minute, is Coyote in the hospital or something, or is he sick? I can come rub your backside for you.
No, he's not.
Because I'm a giver. It's what I do. A rub on the buttocks will always make you feel better. It's good for whatever ails you.
Oh, thank you, Bougie Girl. I appreciate it. So that added to my. Actually, no, that didn't add to my my week ending. It was after that everything kind of just went to shit went to shits and like hell in a handbasket and everything else. And I will publicly say that it is absolutely all my fault. And it just is what it fucking is right now. But it's just annoying, and it's fucking me. It's fucking with me right now. Yeah. But in any event, it was good, and I'm glad it was done, and that's kind of where we are. And I was talking to somebody about my priority poll when it comes to work, and my priority poll is: did you die? Are you dying? Everything else. So in the grand scheme of my own priority poll, it's everything else.
Right.
But the graduation, again, nobody died, nobody was dying. You know, we're good. So they left happy. That's how. And if they left happy, I'm happy. So that's where we are. That was my week. So, yeah. How was your week? How's your week been?
Everything's fine. You know, there's some things in the work, but I don't want to talk about them. You know, I feel like I'm jinxing them.
Okay.
Until you know, until they come to fruition, or you know, I get a final word. So.
Okay. So you're ready to drop some science on the children. I just see it right now. It's going to be some heavy science. Like, I just see it whenever it comes through. So,
boom.
Yeah, I'm wishing you heavy science luck.
Thanks. So no, everything is cool. You know, this other than that is not a whole lot. It's just funny that today I got an email from yesterday I got a notification for a meeting entitled development with my manager, and she's like, hey, so what can we do to make you happy? Because apparently they want to make sure that I'm happy and that I stay. And he's like, yeah, you are, you know, best performing. And I was like, honey. So she was like, make sure you bring your resume. I was like, oh, okay, well, this won't end well. It's not that it won't end well, but, you know, I was like, let me just be clear here. And so I walked her through all of my history. And so I was like, all of this professional development that y'all are trying to do, I'm above that. You know, I was like, I'm keeping it cute. I'm above all of that. And, you know, she's like, well, what do you think about this? And so we started talking about some bullshit that I wouldn't be interested in doing. I was like, if I'm staying here, I'm staying here because I'm making cute money for not a whole lot of work. I don't want to then go into some stuff that's actually going to make me work. Because then if I really want to work, then I need to go somewhere and earn big money.
Right.
So, you know, I'm going to let them talk their talk. And then, you know, maybe by the time she get back from vacation, I'll be ready to move on. So we'll see.
Listen, again, you know, wishing you all the luck.
Thanks. I mean, you know, no one's in danger of losing a job. So it's not even like that. If anything, it's the opposite. They're like, she was basically like, please don't leave me. Was it Thelma Houston, don't leave me?
She was like, Curtis was supposed to love me.
Exactly. So it's very that. So, you know, we'll see see what's happening. Yes. Tyra, Bougie Girl, I am sitting at the desk of glory because we are at a remote location. So, you know, I'm at the desk in my comfortable purple chair. So,
yes. So, yeah, we'll talk about that later. So,
no, I don't even know what there is to talk about. I mean, I'm having a wonderful time. I'm feeling comfortable and ready to go. We do need to talk about. It wasn't as eventful as I thought it might be. Cinco de Mayo. But we did have a cute little time. You know,
we had a wonderful time.
And you and Coyote and Papa and their cute little friend with the big booty.
Yeah. Well,
he might be on. So just say yes.
Hi.
I don't think he's on, but it was cute. We went to this taco spot, and I, of course, go to the taco spot that Papa says, only to find out that because he's like, "We're here. I'm waving at you." I was like, "Girl, I don't see you in here at all." Did he pull the address? I was like, "No. Why would we go all the way to that one, all the way the fuck out there when we live over here?"
Yeah.
Anyway, so we got there, waited in line for like an hour for tacos that were fucking delicious.
They really were. Like,
we really need to go back there when it's not.
Oh, it was so full.
Incredibly busy, but yeah, those tacos were delicious.
Yeah, they really were.
what was it called? Taco Rock. It was called.
Yeah, Taco Rock. Yeah. It was really good, and even the drinks were pretty good that we had. They were pretty good. Like I like the environment. I like sitting outside. Like it was good. I mean,
well, the sitting outside was it was a little breezy for my taste.
It was, but excuse me, it was. I think I enjoyed it.
Considering that I did not have a jacket because I was not expecting that we would be sitting outside, because throughout this whole pepperoni pizza, I used to see these people, particularly white women, sitting outside and it's like 25 degrees and they're like, oh, we're just enjoying ourselves. It's a lovely day with the girls. I was like, bitch, it is 5 degrees outside.
Yeah, that's not
I was not expecting it to be 5 degrees on the 5th of May. And so it was a little breezier than I thought it was going to be, but it still ended up being just fine. And, we had liquor in our system, so it ended up being just fine.
Yeah, we did, but I think for me it was the fact that that was the first time that we were all together, like, in a casual type of way out in public. And granted, we've been together, like you and I have been together. We've had maybe one or two other people, but it was like it felt like old times, like a group of us going. It
really did,
and so that's what made it fun for me. And I gotta laugh at Coyote because, baby, I don't know what that. Oh, wait a minute, and I'm gonna cuss you out, Coyote, because, and like I said before. So Coyote has his Coyote bites. Let's be clear. Coyote tries different things, and I've been his, I don't want to say crash dummy or test dummy, but I try to be loyal with my supplier. So he lets me taste and sample these muffins that he has made. The trick
didn't offer me any, by the way, but that's cool though.
Well, that's between you and my dealer. So he's my muffin dealer. So I can't be worried about that. But the trick was, I even called him and I said, hey, I need to understand, do I need to eat this whole thing or do I need to eat half of this thing? I ate half. But the next day was graduation. So when I say I was hitting the button because I was ready to get up out of there, it's because half of me was disoriented and I could not pull myself together. And yes, you have a new name, Graduation Muffins, because they fucked my whole graduation up in my mind. Listen, BGKH fam, picture it. I am sitting here with like just still high from the night before, and I'm just like sitting there like, oh my God, I have to speak. Oh my God.
I'm sitting there like,
and I was like, oh my God. Okay. I was like, all right. I got up, I showered, I had some coffee, I tried to eat breakfast, I tried to do everything. Baby, that was the worst thing I could do, because when I got warm on the outside and the inside, baby, I'm sitting there on the camera like, I got myself together enough so that when I was spoken to, I responded, but I had to do a speech about my participants and them being in the program and just stuff about their journey here in the program. So that's what I had to do. And I was annoyed because I was struggling. But other than that, they were good. Now, I still do have a half a muffin left. I'm going to probably do that on the weekend. Yes, Tyra, I saw people in caps and gowns that died in 1950. Right, exactly.
So, bougie girl, I got a booty rub for you next time I see you, so you ain't even got to worry about that. So, oh yeah. So, Coyote, I will take those muffins, and I will. Well, you know what? I'm gonna hold off because I got some things in the pipeline. So, let me see how that's going to go before I take these muffins, because then it'll be like, yeah, it's perfect, everything's fine. Just got to take a drug test, and they're like, no.
Yeah. So that's
I will freeze them, and they will be a good treat for things coming.
And they are, and listen, his wares freeze very well.
Good. So I'm gonna have them with some with a nice cup of chamomile tea, or shamama, as the kids say, some chamomile tea. So we'll be good to go. And the good old days continued, because on Saturday Onyx did a thing with a couple of trans activists. What, I don't know if the activist is the right word, but we had some panelists come and talk about their journey, and it was sort of like a primer on trans lives and things like that. And so that ended up being a really good session. And afterwards, we went to Denny's, and it was just like old times. There was, a waitress with 3-inch long eyelashes. It wasn't quite like old times. There was no flat back sequence with the pussy out, but there were definitely several very slim waitresses with very long eyelashes, and food that was pretty good but took an unusually long time to come. And so it was like, yeah, just like old times.
Yeah. Well, listen, let's jump right into this, because we got a lot of stuff to talk about.
We got a lot.
We have a lot of our feature stuff to talk about. So Pose and Legendary, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. So
all right, so let's get through the news first. So first up, there's a filmmaking duo, Keith F. Miller Jr. and Terrence Day, who is set to make animation history with a historic Black film called Pretty. And the tagline is, "What happens when a Black boy puts a flower behind his ear?" Miller, who was a Savannah, Georgia native, initially birthed the idea for Pretty over a decade ago with his unpublished novel by the same name. Day, who's a Morehouse graduate and Long Island, New York native, directs the groundbreaking animated film that will become history to center Black queer characters. Filmmaking comes with a cost, so the duo turned to Kickstarter to reach their goal of $50,000 to fund the show. So if you are interested in it, hold on. I think actually I can open this link and then copy and paste it into the chat.
And while you do that, I'm going to read a quick blurb about what the animation is going to be about. Mm-hmm. It says, "The Deep South breeds its Black boys hard. Then there's Jay. He sticks out for all the wrong reasons. He's dark-skinned, quiet, and skinny, and likes to wear flowers in his hair, the opposite of his masculine and charismatic older brother, Jacob. Their differences peak at the community pool, where swaggering manhood is on full display. Jay is reserved as he struggles to embody his brother's carefree confidence until he gets help from Justin, a charming, light-skinned boy from the neighborhood. Their new friendship is tested when an unspoken truth dares to surface." So listen, I'm here for this. For those that want to support it, please go and support them. But this is going to be amazing, and I'm looking forward to actually seeing this actual animation series. Well, not series, but this film. So,
yes.
And some other news. Last month, a 68-year-old elderly Black woman filed a lawsuit against the city of Salisbury, North Carolina. She claims that 2 police officers who arrested her and the Rowan County Sheriff's Department were all involved in an incident that involved her being stopped for her being pulled over at a traffic stop and her hair being pulled during traffic. So here's what it is. In a lawsuit filed on April 21, Bottom accuses the officers of physically assaulting her and unlawfully searching her SUV after they chased her down with claims that she was driving faster than the 70-mile-per-hour speed limit. Bottom was driving from Atlanta to Raleigh, North Carolina to attend her aunt's funeral. She claimed she had her music on and it was turned up, and she couldn't hear the police sirens behind her. The arresting officers involved were identified as Salisbury police officers Adam Book and Devin Barkalow, Rowan County Sheriff's Deputy Mark Benfield, and a highway patrol trooper only identified in the lawsuit as Officer Smith. Now, there's body cam footage that shows the officers approaching Bottom with their guns drawn before she was dragged out of the car by her hair. The Charlotte Observer reported that she said, "I was just driving." Bottom can be seen telling the officers, "You're going to jail now. The policeman responded, "Why? What have I done?" I'm sorry, that was Bottom responding, saying, "You're going to jail now." The policeman responded, "That's Lord have mercy. You're going to jail."
Are you not still eating one of them edibles?
Right. That's what the policeman said. That's what the policeman responded. She's responded with, "Why? What have I done wrong?" Bottom said through tears, and so now it's, what have I done wrong? Please, why? Why are you doing this to me? So then they responded and said, "Ma'am, there was about a 4 police cars behind you at one point in time. I don't understand how they do it in Georgia," which is what she said, "but that's not how it's done here." Bottom cried while sitting handcuffed in the ground. She was later taken to the hospital where it was determined that her shoulder had been torn. So listen, this 68-year-old woman was a retired I'm sorry, not even retired, but she's a librarian, and I just don't get how we got to this point. Now, I understand her story, saying that she was driving and she didn't hear the music. I mean, she didn't hear the sirens, but their music up. And if you're in that zone of literally attending a funeral, like I remember driving back home to Philadelphia for my sisters after I found out she passed. I honestly, to this day, cannot remember how I got home. I know I drove, but I can't remember anything on that drive. So while I'm not making an excuse for her, I definitely can understand what possibly may have been going through her mind. So I don't know, but to pull this woman out of her car by her hair, I need more clarification on that, because I don't get how that I don't get that justification.
Yeah, me either. And even if I want to be like, because some, there is one theory that says, all right, girl, I mean, I get that you are going, but if the police are going past you, right? She says she also believed the cops were going after someone else and continued to drive for 10 miles before being stopped. And she was only stopped after the police officers laid down a spike trap to flatten her SUV tires. 10 miles is a long distance.
Even at 70 miles an hour.
Even at 70 miles an hour, that's at least 5 minutes that the cops were behind you with sirens flashing. So first of all, if you see the cops, I mean, I'm not saying the cops should have done this, but I'm saying, sometimes there are ways to avoid stuff. So if you think that the cops are not after you, then pull over, and then they should have kept on going. There's no reason why, like if you see the lights in your rearview mirror, to be like, oh, there must be after someone else. So there's no need for me to stop going 70 miles an hour.
Right.
I mean,
that doesn't make sense.
I'm not saying they should have did what they did, but I'm saying it feels like she a little bit put herself in a fucked up situation.
Yeah, and I just
if they went to that means they were behind her. Then they had to pull in front of her in order to deploy this spike strip. And so at no point in that time was he's like, well, maybe I'm the one that they're after. So this isn't just some random pullover. I'm not saying she might not have got fucked up anyway. But this whole story, something just ain't right. There's a fly in the ointment. That's all I got to say. All cops are bad, so I hope she get paid. So there we go.
Oh Lord. So what about Miss Erica Mena? And we'll come back to this other one. What about Miss
who Erica Mena is? So
I'm gonna tell you who Erica Mena is. So if you've watched Love and Hip Hop,
I do not.
Or you've heard about the guy Safari from Love and Hip Hop.
Not really. The one with a huge dick who used to be like
that is her.
Of course, the gays know. That's what the gays know. Yeah, the one with the big dick. Yes, of course.
That's her husband.
I know him.
That's her husband. So they have a very volatile relationship. Well, I shouldn't say volatile relationship, but it's been going off and on. And she is very flip at the mouth, and she's very rah-rah unnecessarily at times. Mm-hmm. So she apparently, her name is Erica Mena, and apparently she had enough of Wendy Williams because of a show that aired where Wendy was talking about them. And she clapped back at Wendy after a show that she had last week, where Wendy talked about Mena and Safari's relationship. Their relationship, if you watch Love and Hip Hop, it just goes on and on and on. It's back and forth. There's a whole lot of drama. And they're in Love and Hip Hop New York. So Wendy talked about the couple saying that she didn't really know Erica, but did know Safari, and that they need to stop fighting and threatening divorce so much. So this clearly did not sit well with Erica, who must have seen the clip and tweeted at Wendy, "At this point, let's link up so I can beat your ass. Your ex-husband didn't do a good enough job."
Let's be clear. Whatever little bit of money Erica got, it ain't enough to fuck with Wendy and all the lawyers that work for her. So I'm just like, girl, all right, say all that shit that you want. Wendy, because here's what Wendy's going to do. Wendy's going to call the police and pull a one old rich white woman, and she's going to put her hands through the cup like this. Is like, officer, I felt threatened. And listen, it's going to be a wrap for you, Miss Mena. So I think you should, be quiet. And she didn't even say anything that bad. We've all seen women in on people just to be like, stop airing your dirty laundry on TV and whatever. That's not even that bad. So
it was rude though. Like you literally, it was rude and uncalled for. Talking about your husband obviously didn't do a good enough job. That was a little bit rude. Now listen, even for Wendy, and Wendy has talked crap on many people, but whatever.
All right, so the next story, Florida principal who spanked student didn't commit a crime, says the state attorney. So a couple of weeks ago on April 13th, there was a mother who recorded her child being spanked by the principal. And this woman's name is Fabiola Rivera. The girl's mother received a phone call from the school to notify her of the student's behavior. Rivera told Self, which is this magazine, that her daughter had been damaging things at home, but she was afraid to spank her because her daughter threatened to call the police or the state's Department of Child and Family. Then Rivera asked the school to spank the child for her, according to Self's testimony. Blah, 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 blah. And so the mother gave permission for this principal to put her hands on the child, which wasn't known. That wasn't part of the narrative before. It was just this white woman spanking this black child. I think we should call the Department of Children and Family Services, because you have now basically hired some other woman to assault your child because you refuse to discipline them? How that work? First of all, I think I told you the one time when, my parents weren't afraid to spank, but they spanked sparingly.
Yeah, Mary, listen, that was not Mary Alice.
My mother's mother was borderline. Well, not borderline. My mother's mother was basically abusive to my mother, probably because she looked exactly like her father, who was a homosexual. So, but that's a whole other thing. So my mother, me and my sister had to do something, well, not extraordinary, but we didn't get spanked nearly as often as other people in our neighborhood. And, there was no one who ever put their hands on us, except for one time, my mother's best friend, Carol, who spanked us because me and her kids was fucking up. So everybody got spanked. And then when I thought my mother was like, and you know what Carol did? And then she was like, but what did you do? And that was not the reaction that I was planning for. And then I got another spanking once I found out what had happened. But that's beside the point. This teacher put his hand on me at the school, and my father came up there, and I was like, I'm gonna fuck this man up. Listen, my father's from Southeast, right up the street. He ain't play none of that. So just the idea that, you would let some other woman with your permission. What does that say to your child, though?
Yeah, like you're telling your child that I am your parent, but I'm not going to discipline you. You shouldn't be afraid of me. You can do whatever you want to me. I'm just going to get somebody else who's going to do it. You're jacking this child up. This child has no respect for authority at this particular point. Like
no respect for authority. And then, these are the kind. All kinds of kids get abused and are victimized, but this feels like a setup for a child, for other people to abuse this child, and then the child feeling like they have nowhere to turn because her mother clearly. This is precious. You know, it's just it's sickening to me. And then I'm not sure because I don't. I got the script right before the show started, so I didn't get a chance to read the whole thing.
Do
So
you don't understand the amount of shade? Like I've always said, the amount of shade that is being thrown. Now, let me be clear. This was emailed to him after our afternoon session that we had on the phone. It was probably about like 4:30 or 5 o'clock. And I thought I uploaded it to Google Docs once again.
You did
but
not.
For whatever reason, it did not upload. Maybe I missed something. Maybe there was, I don't know what it was. But baby,
I got it at 7:45.
I then uploaded it again, and then I sent him a copy of it
at 7:45. Yes,
right before the beginning.
Right, of the and so the state's attorney's office reviewed and determined that no crime was committed by Carter after re-examining the evidence and documents from other law enforcement officials who investigated the incident. So I am just not a proponent of putting hands on another human being, period. Especially one who is not able to defend themselves and then would be disciplined more if they did defend themselves. That just seems, it's just awful to me. So I don't even want to get down because we got so much to go through, but it's just the idea, people say parenting is hard. Yeah, but you should have thought, people always say shit like that to excuse the foolishness that they do. And my response is always, you should have thought about that before you was fucking.
And this is not even a conversation that we're going to necessarily have on air about this and go back and forth. I believe in disciplining your child. Mm-hmm. I believe that corporal punishment could be an option. And I do believe that if that is going to happen, if I'm the parent, I'm the only person that's going to be doing it. Me. But again, that is something that is measured and that is determined by the parent. That's how I feel about that. We can go on to the next story.
So Tom Cruise is returning his Golden Globes in protest of some foolishness that's going on there. I don't really care.
The end result is that the Golden Globes will not be aired on NBC this year as well. And he is joining other people because the Hollywood Foreign Press has been getting heat about its lack of diversity and inclusion initiatives with multiple A-list stars. And so they're trying to now include other people in different areas of the organization to make sure that all types of actors and films are recognized.
Sure, that too.
Okay, so next thing listen, Keisha Lane's Bottoms is out. How about that? She out. She not coming back.
Well, it's interesting to me because I feel like Keisha Lane's Bottoms and Muriel Bowser are in the same boat where they appear to be beloved mayors of their cities, but it depends on who you talk to in the city whether they're really beloved.
So
the white people love Muriel Bowser. They love Tony blah blah blah, whoever the guy that was. Nobody loved Vincent Gray. Nobody loved Vincent Gray. Nobody. But they love Tony blah blah blah. But
Tony's last
name. Lot of the growth in this city took place at the expense of poorer, browner, and blacker communities. And that is a similar charge that has been levied against Mayor Bottoms, is that, Atlanta is prospering, but what about the black and brown, the poor residents of Atlanta? They haven't been prospering as much. So is the city succeeding? Is, whatever. And she is popular enough that she already had like a huge war chest going on, and this announcement came totally out of the blue. So prep yourself for a scandal.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be a scandal or if they're trying to, because she was actually tapped to possibly be a part of Biden's cabinet.
But DJ, but if Lori Lightfoot is here, because I don't think nobody like Lori Lightfoot. I don't think she would survive a re-election challenge the way that she's going, the way that she's been covering up police brutality, and now she's using the police to cover up her affairs with her. She's got a wife, which is fine, and she's been using she just acted like any old other male mayor. She used the police to cover up her affair with some other woman who was also married. It's a whole ass mess. But to me, if it was just she was preparing for another run, it would have been like, I don't think I'm going to run for re-election. It would have been like a prepared sort of thing. This came very out of the blue. And also the fact that she didn't end up getting into Biden's cabinet is a little bit telling too, because they vet the girls, and they, especially in this administration, they vet, double vet, and triple vet.
Well, that is true, but then also the issue was because she was on that short list of possible candidates for VP, and so in comparison to Kamala, oh, absolutely not.
Oh yeah, no. She's a lovely person, but she is no Kamala Harris,
right? So I mean, it's a possible, but who knows? And there was a rumor that she was going to go and work for Walgreens or whatever, as like the first Black CEO or whatever. But
when you say go work for Walgreens, I was like, why the fuck would she go work for?
Yeah, that rumor was dispelled. She's like, I'm not going to work there. So,
right,
But listen, we'll see. But Keisha, we'll see what goes on, and because
something about my spidey sense is tingling, and my spidey sense tells me that whenever a politician resigns, well, she hasn't resigned. She just says she's not running for re-election.
Now she does have
someone who is theoretically popular, all of a sudden, without any undue, without any reason, like if she was pregnant or if it was clear that she was also running for this or that, when this just comes out of the blue, there's almost always a scandal that follows it.
There's also a lot of stuff that's following her about the fact that the murder rate has been going up in Atlanta. But and they're like, oh, if we keep on this track, we're going to, match Chicago sometime soon. But for me, I feel like a lot of people in Atlanta, they've gotten to this point where they feel like Atlanta is like the Holy Land. It's the Mecca of all Meccas, and nothing happens in Atlanta that's not good. And it's like, no, man, it's been happening for years and years and years, and it's always happened. So, but that's my own personal opinion. So I don't know, but they're trying to give her grief about that. But listen, she's out, she's not running, and I wish her the best of luck. And if she does something more, I'd like to see what that is. So
the DNC chair is actually the guy for answering Special's question. The DNC chair is the guy who lost the election to Miss Senator girl in South Carolina.
Oh,
Jamie Harris, Jamie blah blah blah.
Not Comey.
The black guy that lost to Miss Senator. What's his name?
I know who you're talking about. I just can't think of his name.
Yes. So lost to her. So he's now DNC chair.
Okay. Well,
so, Jamie Harris, I think his name is. Anyway, so now Angelica Ross, she confirmed that she's going to be in American Horror Story season 10, and that this role affirms her as a black woman. So the season 10 will be split into two stories, one by the sea, one by the land, per a video announcement. And she says Ross says she'll be featured in the first story, consisting of 6 initial episodes. She said, Ryan Murphy requested that I wear my natural hair. That's why I feel the most beautiful in this role. They're doing things in my natural hair that just really affirms me as as a Black woman, and I think it's going to affirm other Black women who watch the show that see characters who don't wear wigs and who wear natural hair textures.
So she filmed American Horror Story, shot Los Angeles, and her Pose season 3 return shot in New York simultaneously. She spent her 40th birthday and Thanksgiving quarantining in a hotel room, but she considered it a sacrifice worth the work. And listen, I'm all for it, because we just spilled the beans on what happened. One piece that happened in Pose. We'll come back to that, talking about it a little bit more. But I'm all for it. So Miss Candy Girl, she says she's actually booked and going to be working for the next year on several projects with Ryan, but she's not able to talk about. So I'm here for it. I want to see how this actually works out for her, and I want to see what
I am so happy for her that she is, really making it happen. Side note, she on a separate note, I don't think it was in this same article, but at some point she said that Janet Mock was right.
Yes, she did. I think that was in the Janet Mock story too. I think she mentioned that.
Which I'm not surprised. And my thing was never that I disagree with what Janet Mock said. It was that by throwing in all of that mess with her husband or her boyfriend and whatever, it just made her look like a drunk mess. It's
the publicity. It's the in the public eye part. That's what it really was for me. So
the Tampa Police Department said that a Dunkin' Donuts employee customer who used racial slurs died after being punched by an employee. So the victim was a 77-year-old man who went through the drive-thru at Dunkin' Donuts on May 5th. The unidentified man became upset about the lack of service and was asked by staff members to leave without being served. Instead, the police said the victim parked his car and went inside to argue with a 27-year-old employee. And that's when the investigator said that the victim called the employee a racial slur and repeated the phrase after the employee challenged him to do so. That's when the police said that the employee punched the victim in the jaw, knocking the man out and causing him to fall and hit his head on the floor. Tampa Fire and Rescue responded and transported the victim to the hospital, where he died 2 days later. Police arrested the employee and charged him with aggravated manslaughter of an elderly adult.
I feel bad for this young man because
I do too.
It's elderly abuse, and you're in Florida, just like if you were in Pennsylvania, like they are very serious about their elderly population, as we all should be. But I feel sorry for this young man, because I don't think he's going to end up with anything light at all.
No, not at all, because he's a black man that killed a white person, and they're going to be like, well, just it's so funny, the double standard that white people just in general will employ when it suits their moment, because they where's
what?
My screen is my screens are acting up.
Which one? You have like 9 of them.
I know, right? Exactly. That's the whole thing. I got 100 screens and I'm trying to get them all to act right.
Lord have mercy. What you were finishing your point? You want me to go on, because I can talk about this next story, which is actually kind of sad.
It's just a sad story that his life is going to be negatively impacted by this foolishness now.
Yeah. Listen, I'm going to keep my eye out for this and see if there's anything else that pops up from it. There's another story that we were going to talk about a gay man in Iran reportedly killed by his own family. A 20-year-old Iranian man has reportedly been killed, perhaps beheaded, by family members in the country's southwest because of his sexual orientation. The man's name was Alireza Monfarid, and they said he was killed by his brother and cousins earlier this month after they discovered that he'd been exempted from military service due to his homosexuality. They said that up to 3 people have been arrested in connection with the killing, which took place on May 4th near Avaz, the capital of Khuzestan province. Monfarid's partner, Agil Abiyat, said that Monfard had been due to travel to Turkey on May 8th to join him. The BBC reported it had received audio recordings of Manafar saying he was in danger from family members, that he was planning to flee Iran. And in Iran, homosexuality is punishable by death. Earlier this year, the UN report on the situation of human rights in Iran expressed concern over reports that the country has subjected lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender children to torture and cruel, inhumane, and degrading treatment. So our thoughts and prayers go out to this man and his family, the ones that have conscience, because this should never have happened.
Yes.
So,
we can also take this moment to talk about the situation that's ongoing in Iran, Palestine. Those of us who say that Black Lives Matter should also be on the side of the Palestinians who are being unjustly persecuted by the police state in Israel. They're being forced out of their homes for no other reason than that the Israelis want that land to expand. And so I encourage you to Google Free Palestine and learn about all of that. The fight for freedom, none of us are free until we are all free. And, the people in Palestine have been victimized for decades. No one is suggesting that what happened to the Jews in the Second World War was not terrible, but as a result, they came in and took the land that people had been living on for hundreds and thousands of years and gave it to someone else. And they have consistently persecuted the people that live there. And, our government supports the Israeli government to the tune of $3 billion. So, those of you who can, contact your senators and Congress people and talk about that. But I don't want to dash over what happened to this young man. Did I ever tell you the story about Gia, the gay Iraqi amputee? Remember when I told you that story? Well, for those of y'all who don't remember that story, I hooked up with this guy one time who was an amputee. And I was fine with it because, I basically asked him, in my way, I was like, your booty hole still work, right? So, okay. Then, so when he got to my house, it turned out he would not say that he was addicted to meth, but the fact that he was being like, he's like, do you have any meth? No, I don't have any meth. Is it okay if I use meth? You absolutely cannot use meth in my house. Okay, well, then I'll use some meth and then I'll come back. I was like, if you use meth, you're not coming back in this house. So then we were about to do it. Then he was like, I think I really need some meth. So then I was like, no, we're not doing it. Then he told me his story. The reason he's an amputee is because I think the language in Iraq is Farsi. I think so. And so he spoke Farsi and English. So he was an interpreter for the U.S. forces that were there in Iraq at the time. And so he was targeted in a targeted bombing where his best friend, I can't remember if it was just best friend or his lover, was targeted and killed, and he lost his leg. And, I guess the U.S. government felt bad enough for him that they let him come to the United States.
That's a lot.
Addicted to meth.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
Maximus, is this who I think it is? The one who I knew? Is that the one you're talking about? The Somalian? You can let me know that. I think that's who that is, if I remember correctly. But let's go on to talk about Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees.
Woohoo!
They were just announced. Tina Turner made it in the performer category. Carole King, The Go-Go's, Jay-Z, Foo Fighters, Todd Rundgren, all made it into are going to be the inductees for this 2021 class. Also, Kraftwerk, as well as Gil Scott-Heron. And you might not remember Kraftwerk by their name, but I'm going to tell you, if you are of a certain age, you remember this song called Trans Euro Express. That's craft work. Exactly. Musical Excellence Award for LL Cool J, Billy Preston, Randy Rhoads, and then there's the Ahmet Erdogan Award with Clarence Avant, who's going to be getting that as well. So that congratulations to those inductees. And I'm glad everybody made it in at this particular point. There's still some people that should have been in already, but Tina's been inducted. She was inducted as part of Ike and Tina, but she, as Tina Turner, has been inducted into the Hall of Fame. So
yes,
yeah. So, all right. So let's get to some music.
All right. So what do we want to do? We want to do Legendary first or Pose?
You let me know where you want to go. I'll follow which way you want to go.
I have extensive notes for Legendary.
All right. So let's do Pose real quick then, and then we'll come back. All right.
So Pose was everything. First thing that I'm going to say is that Miss Dominique Jackson has clearly taken some acting classes, because she emoted her ass off and it felt authentic. And, I felt like, especially in the first season, I was like, they are just, she's clearly, this Elektra personality is clearly who they are, but they did not hire her for her acting ability. She has clearly taken some acting lessons and gotten so much better, because this episode was all about her origin story, and it talked about her being a little trans girl, and well, not little, because she's like 6'6", but her parents, her mother's, I don't want to say Jamaica, I'm just going to say from the West Indies somewhere, and they lived in Queens, and she. Elektra was one of the kids on the pier, but she was a high class hooker.
Yes, she was.
She negotiated a hot apple pie after the blowjob because she was worth it.
I mean, you gotta have standards. You got listen. You gotta set your worth. Hot apple pie, $2 for $1. That's what she's on.
Yes,
and at that time, $2 for $1. I think it was like $2.35.
Yes, she has some lines, and I wrote down the lines. She said to the girl that was working the corner with her, she said, "I pay more. They pay more because I am more." So that
Miss
was
Elektra is a prime example of speaking things into existence. Like her character, everything that she said she wanted, she spoke into existence. So the power of your mind and speaks, putting out in the atmosphere. This is all Elektra. All Elektra.
Yeah, and Freaky McNasty was right. Yeah, she definitely gave that West Indian accent. I'm not versed enough to say if it was actually Jamaican or what it was, because that patois all sounds similar to me. I'm sure if I heard a West Indian, a Jamaican next to someone from Trinidad next to someone from the Bahamas, you will be able to tell differences. But generically, I'm just going to say West Indian, because I don't know that they specifically said that the family was Jamaican.
Yeah, I don't think they did. But listen, her whole origin story, talking about her Halston experience.
Yes.
And her mother calling her Dwayne and calling her a cross-dresser or homosexual. And she's like, I am not either one of those. I am a woman.
Right. And, at first, because it's sorry, I need my microphone for this. It's very interesting that she, you have to understand. And I think, Coyote, I think she's actually Trini. She's from Trinidad. Dominique Jackson is, yeah. Because I did see her documentary, and I think she's from Trinidad. But I think that is a misnomer that a lot of people have, is that these trans people, you're a boy in a dress, you're a cross-dresser, you're a homosexual, and it's like, I am not a homosexual, and I am not a cross-dresser. I am a woman.
Yes, indeedy. And when she tied that scarf around her head and put that lipstick on, she said, I am Elektra.
Yes. And then, so I love how she stayed reading Lulu and Candy. She was like, and these two cinder blocks with sew-ins.
Yeah, I mean, but you know, it's different because when the show first started for me, I felt like Blanca was like the ugly stepsister, not even the ugly stepsister, but she had stepsisters and she was the pretty one and they were the ugly one and they were working her all over and letting everybody else do. But this episode, this flashback, if it's talking about origins, it showed that she really did have a connection with Blanca from the beginning, and then things just kind of changed or evolved over the years. So,
well, some mothers, just like some mothers, are very gentle and warm and kind and whatever. Then some mothers are harsher, and they feel like they're being harsh to prepare you for the world. And as a trans woman in New York City in the 80s during the height of the AIDS crisis, that was what Elektra was giving, and clearly she did what she needed to do to provide for her family. So was she harsh with them, especially in her words? Yes, but she always made sure there was food on the table, and she did what she needed to do to get them a brand new place. And I love when she met. So first of all, we found out that Lamar and Angel are cousins.
Yes,
and Cubby, Angel, and Lamar were all teenagers living on the streets when Elektra met them.
And it was so very Paris is Burning.
It was very that. Because Angel even looked like that little boy, one of the little boys that was in Paris is Burning. I feel like those clothing choices and everything were very to call back to that. But I love how she said, go to this address. She said, ask for Blanca. Don't be startled. She's got a good heart under that unfortunate wig. And I was just like, that is so Elektra.
Yeah,
it is just like, so then they were there and they were enjoying their little meal and everything, and then the lights went off. And so they went back to, because when Elektra's mother kicked her out, she made her leave everything there because she was like, everything in this house belongs to me. But in that trunk were the furs and the jewels. And, this was, ain't like the girls these days where they buying shit off a Wish. You've got a fur. That is a real fur coat.
It might be rabbit or squirrel or even deer, but I mean, it was a fur.
Right. And so they went back to get all of her stuff. And so it was just cute lines there. So they're trying to get back into the mother's house, and they were removing an AC. And Lamar kept saying smart shit to Candy, and Candy was like, I thought someone without a hammer said something.
Baby, listen. Let me tell you.
That tells you Candy didn't had that hammer for a long time.
Listen, and that I live for the fact that it not only talked about what girls had to do to survive and protect themselves, but for me, it was also a reference to a legend in Philadelphia. And with many of the girls who came down to get their work done, Miss Kelly Harper. Miss Kelly Harper rode through the streets of Philadelphia with so much silicone in her face, looking like a science experiment, but she carried this in her purse and would deal with the children accordingly if they stepped to her, as well as the trade. She was not having any of it. So I live for the fact that they that reference to that hammer.
Mm-hmm. Then, so they got the stuff and they're going out, and then, they think they're slick, and they get all the way downstairs. Oh, and by the way, the trunk is the trunk that later she buried that body in. But we're going to come back to that. Right. So then she sees her mother, and, her mother is like, get your shit and get the fuck out, and we don't ever need to speak again. And then but just like any child, you can forgive anything. And she wants to reconcile and forgive all of the past. And her mother says, maybe if you could just tone it down. And she says, I'm not even going to do this with the mic because this was like a serious thing. I watched it like 100 times, not 100 times, but she said, my whole life, she said her mother has asked her, she says, yeah, I would love to have a relation to you, but could you just tone it down? And she says, my whole life is dedicated to toning it up, about settling for more love, more finery, more jewels, more power, more money, more. I am sorry that you were only able to look upon me with fear and disappointment. I am sorry that you won't allow yourself to see me. The pain of your disapproval will no longer distract me from going after everything I deserve in this world. Goodbye, Tasha. Yes. And that was so powerful. And I don't wish for trans and gay people to have bad relations with their family, but I wish that those that do have a powerful moment of standing up for themselves like that, and that they can see what Elektra did and draw strength from that. Because I felt lucky, like we did a thing with Really BTV today, and we went to school and we talked about that. And I know you didn't necessarily have the best coming out with your mother, but it wasn't nearly as bad as what Elektra had, But there are a lot of kids who have really bad coming out relationships with their family. And, it felt good to see a person standing in that truth and not allowing someone's narrow judgment of them to define them for the rest of their life. Yeah. So anyway, so we know what happened with the trunk, right? So the trunk, we didn't know that. We just knew there was a trunk that she had in the house. So what happens, Elektra was like, all right, so I got about $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 worth of shit in this trunk.
But wait. Let's do this. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you talking about? Go ahead. I'm trying to figure out where you are, but go ahead. Go ahead.
So, yeah, I'm sort of all over the place. So they went to get the trunk, not for the trunk itself, but because the trunk had $20,000, $30,000 worth of stuff in it, and they needed a place where they could all live and not worry about the lights not being on. So Elektra sold everything in that trunk, which was that was her life. Imagine selling all of your prized possessions. That was all. Remember, as a trans woman, that was probably the first dress she ever put on. That was probably the first time she went out to the club. That was, there's memories attached to that fur and all of those things. She sold all of that so that this new family, her chosen family, could have a place to live and stay. And only Blanca knew what it was, because she saw the trunk and saw that the only thing that was left in that trunk was a picture of Dwayne, which was her dead name, her Elektra, and her mother. And so she kept that picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was very powerful. And it was very powerful, and it showed how it was done. I don't want to say the right way, but it showed how it was done. It showed one way of how it was done in a good way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So, I think every gay person, every queer person felt empowered by that scene. I certainly did. And even though I had a perfectly fine coming out experience with my family, I still felt empowered by that. When she said, the pain of your disapproval will no longer distract me from going after everything I deserve, not everything I want, everything I deserve in this world. And like Link said, when she called her Tasha, I was like, oh, well,
to her face.
That was a bow. That was a bow. That was saying without saying it. It's girl, like TikTok. He was like, tell me I'm never talking to you again without saying I'm never talking to you again. And when you say goodbye, Tasha, that's like, we're never talking again.
Never, ever, ever. Never, ever, ever.
Right. And so that was just a beautiful scene. And, it sort of put a softer face on Elektra. And, it sort of gave you, we have the comfort of 30 years, and even in our gayness, in most of us that are on this call are cisgender, to not have had particularly harsh journeys as gay people. But again, growing up as a West Indian trans woman in the 80s, in the heart of New York City during the AIDS epidemic, maybe there wasn't time to be soft and motherly. Maybe that was the kind of mother that Elektra wished that she had, one who had pushed her, but then was always there for her.
True.
So yeah.
Could be. Well, with that trunk was a part of their family heritage, if you will, or as a family heirloom, which also wound up being the trunk that she placed this trick that went bad in, and eventually wound up having to discard because she was arrested. And when she was arrested, she needed to get this bail money, and she needed to get the bail money out of her apartment. So she called her daughter Blanca as well as her kids, and they went to her house to get this trunk. But let's not gloss over the fact that the reason she was even arrested was the fact that Blanca literally owned an entire business.
Elektra keeps a coin. She kept the whole 1-900 sex line that was perfectly legal. She had all of the girls' paperwork, but Connie, who was the mayor at that time, because people don't. This story is reminding you of so much. Even that story in the first season about Donald Trump and all of that. That was all true. That was all shit that was actually happening. The hayseeds from New Jersey was coming in the city, and they would have a piece of city trade, whether it was a trans woman or a cisgender woman or a dude, and then they go back to their suburban existence, and then the in-town trade will be led to believe that we was gonna have this perfect life together, and all of their girlfriends or their boyfriends was like, girl, he is never leaving his wife for you.
Right, not at all.
Never. And then the whole thing with Giuliani trying to clean up the city and everything. So Elektra was afraid that if they went to her apartment, they would find that trunk, and if they found that trunk with that body in her with it, it was 100% a wrap for her.
It was going to be a wrap. It was a total wrap. So, but once they found that trunk, they also enlisted Blanca's husband. Well, not her husband, her boyfriend.
Who I'm still.
I'm on the fence about him.
I'm sorry.
I'm on the fence about him. Yeah,
I'm definitely. I'm like.
Something
this feels too good to be true, because maybe I'm jaded by years of gay cinema and gay movies where gay people don't ever really get that, because it's feeling very, and they all live happily ever after, and I feel like gays never get. I mean, because it's just life just don't listen. Because I'm telling you this, there may be somebody that I love to death, like if Lynx didn't already have a husband who would cut me. And let's say Lynx and I had just hooked up, and then he brought me back to his apartment. It was like, I have this body in a trunk, and I need you to help me bury it. The best that Lynx could hope for is that I'm not going to say anything, but I cannot be involved in this. And it just was like, he was just like, well, of course we're going to bury it, and here's how we're going to do it, and we're going to wrap chains around it, and here's where we're going to dump it. And I was like, so maybe either that or his family is into some shady business to where it didn't really freak him out or something.
Because he said he made some calls to some friends, and I don't necessarily know if they were his friends, but his family is old enough to have friends that could get charges dropped. So I don't know. I don't know how.
There's a lot going on. So yeah, I'm still on the fence to whether he is on the up and up. I mean, I want Blanca. I want to see 2020. I want to see Blanca have gotten on some antiretroviral drugs, and I want to see Blanca as a 55-year-old woman in 2021 with her husband, and they done adopted some kids, and they are living their best life.
But I hope that I see that. But again, we got a couple more episodes before we get to that. And next week is supposed to be about Billy Porter and Pray Tell's character and him going back home. But a couple other things I wanted to mention was when they talked about the House of Abundance and how it formed, and they walked their first ball. Baby, listen,
that ball. was everything.
The House of Capricorn was a fucking mess.
Is that a real house, or did they just make it up for the show?
I think they just made up for the show, but that house was a fucking mess.
It was a mess with that eyeliner and them. He said them dollar store wings, so you could fly away on your chain.
It was horrible. But baby, Miss Angel came out as Little Red Riding Hood. Lulu came out as Rapunzel.
They were all stunning.
They were all like Cubby Lamar came out as Prince Charming and the husband. Then it was Candy came out of Sleeping Beauty with the bed and like she was laying down on it and walking.
Baby, she looked gorgeous. And Angel fucking slayed. I couldn't even get over how gorgeous she was with the short hair and everything.
Miss Bogger came through and pulled it together as well.
Was that Apple? Yes, with Little Red Riding Hood. Or was that Snow White? It was Snow White.
She was Snow White. Yeah. Yes. And then Electra came through finally as Maleficent, and so like it was cute. Like that was a great introduction to their house, and I thought that was phenomenal. So I really want to commend them on the way they did that, and like I'm here for it. So I'm just commending them on that. So
yes,
it was a great episode. I'm looking forward to next week. We'll see how that goes, but I am definitely looking forward to next week's episode. So, but now. Let's jump into Legendary because you have several detailed notes on Legendary.
I
have several thoughts and comments on some of the things that had happened. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So episodes 1 and 2, episode 1 we were introduced to all 10 houses, and they are Orichi, Balenciaga, Lux, Chanel, Miyake Mugler, Prodigy, Milan, Garçon, Icon, and Ticci. And that's actually in the order that they did their Grand March. And because there are so many houses, they broke it up over the 2 episodes. And they corrected something that actually annoyed me. It's generally annoyed me about the ballroom scene. Annoyed me. I'm not even a part of the scene. But I was like, everything is tens of chops. So that just seems like invites whatever. So I like the idea that they were actually giving scores.
So for me, that's something I absolutely friggin' hated. And I understand that it started out on a 10-point scale. You got different numbers, but that annoys me because the whole point is you get your 10s or not. If you don't get your 10s, you ain't walking, period.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Yeah. So, do you want to just start with the first house and then work our way down? How do you want to do this?
Well, I don't have mine are not in the order in which they actually went through. I'm
a maker of lists, so I've got it all.
Okay, so if you talk, you go ahead and go through your list because I have comments on each one of them.
Okay, so Orichi, they had a red color scheme that I thought was nothing special. The makeup was nice, but it didn't add anything.
I loved it because again, this category was to do the 5 elements of Vogue. And so I loved it because they actually did it and they set the tone.
Yeah, I said the choreo was cute.
Yeah, so I loved it.
And they got a 36.
Yeah.
And then it was Balenciaga. I love Balenciaga. The sparkly black and everything that they had. It gave me what it was supposed to give. And
so
even though Mother fell.
So I like the fact that I like these pantsuits.
Mm-hmm.
She looked fucking amazing, and that's a bad bitch. I'm just bad bitch. But the problem was the way when Shannon fell, she got hooked up on Honey's heel in her cover up. That's what made her fall. Right. But because she fell, these 10s, I was like, no.
Right, because it was bad judges. So they got a 39, which means only one person didn't give them a 10, and maybe it was Law that gave a 9.
She shouldn't have got all them 10s.
And she stole $17 million.
$17.5 million.
Yes.
Let me tell you something.
What you would do with that with those coins?
She only did 36 months, 39 months.
Right. I was like, I'm sure she had to pay that back, but I'm sure she had given most of that money away. I would have had that money in a Grand Cayman account or something.
So she probably had to pay restitution for X amount of dollars for the people that they could track it back to, but there's a large chunk of it they probably could not track.
Right. Number 3 is the House of Lux, which is a brand new house that was less than a year old. They did a goth steam sort of Victorian punk thing. And I thought the theme was high energy, and I liked it. But I agree that it could have been more clean.
Yeah, it was sloppy towards the end for me. And they lost that one person, the member who had broke his hand or whatever.
Right. And so they got a 32. Chanel, I was like, oh, girl, that was
SLOPPY. Say it again. SLOPPY. And I'm so mad because the House of Chanel is such an iconic house. Iconic.
And I mean, I know the girls are reading them back home because, like, y'all came in and talked all of that shit and then did terribly. And then the house that just started and lost a member actually gave a decent performance, at least compared to y'all. I mean, it was a mess. It felt kind of thrift store with the fringe and red tartan. And I don't remember if it was Laomi or whomever was like, y'all gave the same shit last year.
That was West that did that. The House of West. They gave that red tartan stuff. But they went home.
Well, it was the same thing as that the look had been seen and it felt just like ripped up. I mean, it felt like if the look was thrift store couture, then maybe, but they got a 22. So that was the lowest score out of anybody at all. Sloppy. So very sloppy. And number 5 was Miyake Mugler. They did the latex look, which was I felt the choreo was a little soft, but it was well executed. And they got a 38. And I was like, I was not nearly as blown away as Laomi, Meg, and Jamila were. I was like,
So I didn't have any comments on this, but I think the thing for me with Mugler is I remember Mugler as just being a face house. Like the kids would go in for the Muglers about their face. Like, and so their performance for me, it's not matching up to what I remember them for as far as face. So it was okay. And it wasn't bad at all.
That's the one with the bug eyes?
Is that the one with what? That's the girl with the blonde hair.
No, the one with the one of the groups got to do with the bug eyes.
No, that's not. No, that's the House of Milan.
Oh, okay. Because I was like,
yeah, but no. And Miss Tati, she's that girl, but that episode, no, I wasn't feeling it. No,
yeah,
it was okay. It was.
So
okay.
in the first round, the winner was Balenciaga. So that was good for them. And in the second round, we started with Prodigy, and I was like, the blue outfits were kind of basic, and it was a very soft performance. And I agree with Law. Law gave them the right score, which was a 6.
So let me tell you something. And Prodigy is one of those houses where, just like Ebony, it was like a realness house. And so they like it's like the boy like coming through like just realness, just like trade, just rough. And I was looking at Jason Prodigy and I was like, you can't even vote. Like you're not even, and I'm not saying that you can't vote. I remember you being a face kid and a label kid, but I don't remember you actually being a vote. So why are you even here? Because you look very stiff. Like I didn't.
Yes, I wasn't feeling it. Number 7, Milan. It was a gold. I like the gold, but I said the theme felt very meh.
The theme was everything, and I appreciated Big Boy's performance when he came out with Old Way. Bitch, you know I'm here. Bitch, I am here for what?
Yes. But Law gave them a 10, and I was like, I'm not seeing a 10.
I'm 10. Here for the whole way.
Yeah, but the 10, it wasn't giving me that.
I'm definitely here for this whole way.
Yeah, it was cute though. Garcon, I felt like their house was the most fashion forward, but it felt like 2 different performances. It was Stunk and Stasha versus the other 3.
So first of all, Stasha's ass. She even said it. She's like, I haven't been on the ballroom scene in God knows how long. Stasha's a performing girl in the sense that she won Continental, and she like listen. Stasha is amazing for what she does, but for this, not so much. Like she was, and then she was the one that was kind of like, girl, sit down. For me, it's always one of those things where, as a parent, if you are the mother or father of a house, everybody has their specialties, but baby, I'm gonna need you to be able to carry this at least at a basic level. And for me, it was like,
yeah. Icon gave latex leather bikers, and the choreo was tight, but there was still room for improvement, and they only got a 29. I said Naomi was right. They are acting like $100,000 is on the line, and Meg agreed. It's like they weren't even breathing hard.
I don't want them to choreograph. I want them to just perform, because I was looking at their individual elements, like the individual people. They are they vogue down, but I need them to stop doing choreo. That's where they're going to shine. To me.
At number 10, motherfucking Teachy. I loved everything about them. I said I love the look, and Gina came out with that ribbed bodysuit, and it looked like they were pro dancers. And listen, I'm really not trying to call Gia the Joker.
I don't know what that is and what that was, and so I'm trying not to I'm just trying not to comment on it. But my eye is drawn to it all the time. It's
literally drawn to it. It feels like it looks like she got in a fight, and somebody sliced her.
And that very well could be it. Yes. But
But as far as her house did it. I mean, they turned it. And if what's the host name? Sean. If he said no Sade one more time, I am going to reach to that TV and slap the shit out of him.
But are you getting into his new grill?
I didn't pay attention to it.
Get into that new grill.
I'm about to pay attention to it next time. I didn't notice it.
It's like this.
Is it right?
Listen, and I'm not mad. Listen, do you please do everything that you want to do with yours? But baby, I was like, Deshaun. Okay.
So then when they had the battles, the first battle was Lux versus Chanel, and Lux actually came like they was, trying to do it, and Chanel was just like,
they were both sloppy as shit to me, and for me, it was the lesser of two evils.
Okay. The second battle was, I forget who it was. It was
Prodigy versus Icon.
Yeah, and it was a cute battle, lots of energy, but I wasn't
sloppy really again.
Yes.
Sloppy again. Because that child with the black and white, these dips that she was doing, she was falling backwards. I was like, girl, what are you doing? What is this? And the other girl was doing she was doing a whole bunch of acrobatics with the leg up and the fall. And it was like, girl, but that's not a performance. That's not Vogue. That's not a performance. That's a trick or a stunt. I need you to just go back to the 5 elements. Like, I don't want you to do that.
Yeah. And I said my last note for the first 2 episodes is that Megan is the Paula Abdul of the show. I don't mean she's dumb. I just mean it feels like she never wants to give harsh criticism.
Yeah, no, that's why I was like, okay, I'll take that. Because a couple of times she'd just be like, all right, look, now this is fucked up, so I'm gonna go ahead and tell you. So that's why I was kind of debating. But okay, I can see that. I can see.
And then so episode 3 was Hollywood. I think it was Hollywood Glamour. I think was the theme or something.
Hollywood, yeah. It was Tinseltown, but it was best dressed. Yeah, it was best dressed, and also bringing face as well. So everybody had to be dressed nice, but then they also had to have that one person that was giving face.
Yes. So now we're down to 8 houses. Garcon. So Chanel and Icon. No, not Icon. Chanel and Prodigy got the chop.
Right. Chanel and Prodigy got the chop from the last episode. Right. And so that means that Lux and Icon were still there. So yes.
Right. So starting with Garcon, I love their 20s theme. I thought it was hot. They got a 49. Orichi
Orichi was a standout for me.
Yeah, they got a 47.
Mm-hmm.
Milan, I said it wasn't a good choice for Face. It seemed like a backup dancer out of her element, and the judges agreed they only got a 28. I forgot to mention that old boy, Uncle Clifford, was the guest judge.
Yes.
Yes.
Nico.
Blah, blah, blah. Yes. Nico, blah, blah, blah. Yes.
Okay.
So this is where Lux fell down. So they gave it was some futuristic blah, 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 and they got a 29 and got sent home. So, but it was a cute run. I mean, for houses just starting, I felt like they acted like they, I feel like they need 2-3 more years of working together and, trying to make it happen, and then they can kiki.
I had 4 standouts for me: Orichi, Icon, Mugler, and Tishi. Those are my 4 standouts for that house. I just, and specifically between Orichi and Mugler.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, all of them. Orichi, Mugler, and Tishi, because Tishi did the 90s version where they were doing, it was very hard, always, like with the boxes, and they were like, it was all the blonde hair going through. I was like, okay, I'm here for it. So it was, those were the standouts for me. But that Milan versus Lux, I was happy with the choice to send Lux home.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that they made a great statement.
Now, I will say that motherfucking Tichi turned that shit. They got 10s across the board. And I personally, as someone who was not deeply into, not even into the ballroom scene at all, I need that song. I was like, it's fashion. I got to look that up. And Simone did that. She gave you face.
She's beautiful.
And what I loved is that, and they talked about this, is that Gia, as the mother of the house, wasn't like, well, of course I'm the face. I love that she gave Simone that opportunity to shine, and Simone turned it. I mean, it was, as far as I was concerned, it was a perfect performance.
It was definitely one of my, I enjoyed it. Like I said, one of my favorites.
Yes,
I enjoyed it.
It was one of my favorites of the entire run of the show so far.
Yeah, but did you check out the Balmains at the beginning of the first episode coming out with the multicolored outfits on? You know that was the Balmains, right? The winner from the first season.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't particularly care for that performance, but I'm just going.
I was like, okay, next.
I'm a dash over that.
Yeah, so I mean, they've definitely stepped their pussies up for the second season. They're actually in LA now instead of Los Angeles. I mean, instead of New York. What I did not like was the audience track, because they clearly were not in front of a studio audience, but they kept piping in this clapping and stuff, which just didn't make any sense, because, I mean, if the kids aren't clapping, the kids aren't clapping. So it just seemed unnatural to me. So I don't know why they would do. I mean, I understand exactly why they wouldn't do it in front of an audience, but just don't have an audience. The idea of actually piping in, an audience track seems unnecessary to me.
It helped me with getting hyped up about it. But I have a question for Eccentric. Listen, when you watch this episode, pay attention to and I'm meaning this with the utmost respect, and I love her. But pay attention to Sasha when she walks across that stage. If she is not giving you Misty Night tease with that walk, baby, I howled. I said, come on, Misty. I'm just saying, when you watch it, just check it out.
So there was a lot going on this week. I'm excited for the next episode of Pose, because, the two icons on the show are Blanca and Pray Tell. So we've had not Blanca, Elektra and Pray Tell. And so we've had Elektra's origin story. So now it'd be good to hear Pray Tell's story. So I'm really excited to see where that's going to go. And then we know at some point, Angel and Poppy are going to go for a marriage license. And, there's going to be a lot around that, because I don't think there was any jurisdiction where we recognize that Angel is a woman, but in 1995, as far as the world was concerned, she was a boy. So any sort of same gender or alternative marriage arrangements weren't accepted. I think Vermont was the first state to do that, and I feel like that was in 2000 something.
Was that Vermont or was it Connecticut?
I feel like it was either Vermont or Hawaii.
Okay, all right.
So it definitely wasn't New York City where they were trying to get married. So
it was not.
But I think it was legal overseas. So
maybe
they got a cute little coin so they could.
Yeah, and they're financially well off enough that they could, if they wanted to, they could go and do it and then come back. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Right.
We'll have to see how it goes.
So yeah, I am excited for what the season is going to bring us.
Yes, indeedy. But at this particular point, let's go ahead and roll that beautiful beam footage, and we'll come back and chat a little bit more before we roll.
Woohoo! Excellent.
So I don't know what I was getting ready to say about what I was getting ready to do, but I'm going to say this. I'm very happy that you guys have spent your evening with us.
Yes. It's always an honor that you guys choose to spend a couple of hours or an hour and a half or so with us every Wednesday. I forgot to mention, so I started. Did I ever mention Invincible to you? The cartoon that's on Amazon Prime. You really need to check that out.
Well, no, you haven't. But I actually clicked on. I've heard about that several times, as well as Jupiter.
I watched the first episode of that today, and it's not a cartoon, but it's about superheroes.
Yeah,
and I'm a little on the fence about how I feel about it
and the Nevers. That's another one that's on my list.
Yeah, I did. The slave keeps talking about the never. So I may reluctantly watch that. And I did right before the show, I watched the first 10 minutes of Mortal Kombat. So, I'm going to finish it before the next show.
So I will say this. I enjoyed it, but I still feel like it was rushed. But it was okay. But I enjoyed the type of it, though. I will say that.
Yeah, I mean, some people said it was terrible, but I was like, listen, I'm not going to this movie for high cinema.
Yeah, no, it's not. Like, it's about a damn video game. What high cinema are we talking about for a damn video game? Even Resident Evil or what was the other one? Silent Hill. Like, that was not like high cinema. It was horrible, but it was, if you know the game, it was okay.
Right.
So, but anyway,
excuse me.
That's contagious. We're not gonna do that. But listen, like we said, thank you so much for tuning in. Please tell your friends about us, have them to subscribe, and they can click on the subscribe button. And when they join us, and to get the notifications, they can click on the bell to get the notifications. Please, forward our stuff out to people. Invite your friends, increase the size of the family. We would love to have your cousins and your cousins' cousins and your cousins, and also your baby daddies and your baby mamas and your baby's mamas, and also the side chicks too, to come on and watch the show. We would love that.
There's something for everybody on the BGKH show.
Absolutely. And Really B TV, thank you so much for today. We Dominion talked about this. We were on a panel with Really B TV at her day job, and I enjoyed myself.
I 100% enjoyed myself.
I enjoyed myself, and I really thank you for having, spending some time with us and letting us spend time with the people in the chat room. So it was great. So,
and you know why? You know why?
The Bluetooth device is ready to pair.
Because I believe the children are the future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Sexual chocolate. Sexual chocolate. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. No, it really was. It was good talking to the kids, and I always feel good when I talk to the kids. I just want these young queer kids to not go through some of the things that we went through, and
Yeah, and it made me realize something. I was like, I got to write a book. I don't want to interact with them. What the hell? I don't like that.
I mean, hell, you're literate.
Very. I'm just also
busy.
Not really in a mood right now. I'm having a hard time keeping my 50 posted. Oh my God, that's a whole nother story. Oh my gosh. But
you gotta keep up with your 50 days of 50.
Right, I have today and tomorrow to do, which is like,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, your musical selections was cute, but I want to lodge a few protests.
I actually did forget one now that I think about it, because it is one of my favorites, and it happens to be by your girl, Air Mouse
Right. I was like, there's no Ella, and there's only one song by Luther.
So the thing with Luther is Luther had like his older stuff is the stuff that I enjoy. So that like Superstar, House Is Not a Home. But again, remember, part of this was stuff that was of significance. It doesn't mean I don't like the song, but it's of significance. Like there's a memory attached to every single one of those songs.
Got it. Oh, well, then my list would be entirely different. It would be full of some old slit your wrist bullshit.
Well, Alanis Morissette was definitely, or is definitely one of my. I do listen to her, and listen, I like Evanescence. Like I said, that was on there, Bring Me Back to Life, and My Immortal was another one. So I mean, but again, I can't. I enjoy them, but I'm just there's not a moment tied to some of those songs, and some stuff I'm just never going to talk about. So
I understand. Listen, everything in for public consumption. So
but other than that, I gotta keep up with that. So. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, it is a pleasure. Dominion, you have some final words?
Thank you all for coming out. God bless you and good night. Mwah. Bye.
Bye.